Hey, Sean. Going full on vlog mode right now because I don't have the patience to set everything up. Though I did set up the Hudson Spider Mosey as like an overhead umbrella light. So I try to do a lot of videos about how I do things and tips for you, maybe things that can help you edit better. And it can present an image of me that seems like I've got things under control and I'm this practiced and perfect producer. And I'm just beating my head against a wall because I can't do this project. I have a project that I'm doing right now that is just kicking my butt. And let me bring you up to speed quickly. This is a project. Let me see if, I don't know if this is going to show up on the screen. A little bit. It's a little bright. There we go. This is a project that is just a portfolio piece for this school that my client did a whole bunch of work, like 18 different projects over the past 13 years. Just tons of work for this college. And I love my client. And typically in the past, these videos for this client have been rooted on a narrative. Like we do interviews and we edit together this interview that explains what the project is, what went into it, some of the amazing things, how it impacts the faculty and the students. And they're really cool projects. I think it'd be easy to write this off as like, oh, this is video production for some giant corporate construction company. But I really like this company because they work with schools, and the amount of attention that they put into the lighting in a room and what that can do for a student's focus, which can have literal changes to the outcomes of education for kids in certain communities, especially underserved communities. They do incredible work. And so it's been awesome to interview these people and have this passion come through in these interviews and have that be the backbone. However, with this video, due to a number of different things, between masks on some people, between a few people having to cancel their interview at the last minute, there was just a handful of stuff where we don't have enough good interview footage to put together a narrative. Like it would just be one or two people the whole time. And the client and I decided that just wasn't enough. So what we wanted to do instead was just have it mostly be B-roll, but then have like some on-screen text explain some of the facets of the project, including what I think is really neat. The entire campus is cooled with this new geothermal system that they've built to be scalable. It's saving tons of power. They have solar power on every one of their buildings, and the whole campus runs on mostly solar power now. Just a ton of awesome sustainability-focused things. They're doing all this stuff in the middle of nowhere, Illinois. And it's just a really, really cool project, and I'm trying to tell its story using some like bullet points about the project. And I just can't make these things look good on screen. Try as I might, I am going through this stuff. I don't know if I can be heard. I'm going through this stuff piece by piece and trying to find ways just to make the logo come on screen properly with some of this footage. And then talk about like there's been 18 faces in 13 years. And I have done no less than 10 different titles, what titles can look like. Let me turn this one on. This was the first basic one. I've done all these iterations to try to make text look good on screen, and this has been a weakness of mine for a long, long time. I don't have an eye for design. If you give me a blank piece of paper and tell me to like make a logo or lay out some text in a cool way, I just can't do it. I don't know how. I'm not good at that. But I have to do that here. And so I've been working with some plugins and some templates that I've gotten from Pixel Film Studios, not paid content, by the way. I've paid mightily for all the stuff I've bought from them over the years. But I'm trying to use these things and work backwards to build some sort of video that has decent text in it. And to show you here, like we're talking about leaders in environmental stewardship. And so I've got this transition which sort of puts that on screen, and then we zoom through it to this next clip, and that's all fine and good, but I just don't love their official font is Arial. So this is their official font, and I can change its color or something, but it just doesn't stay on screen that long. And so I'm working on tweaking these things. The other thing, no, I can't do that. This was another one that I had just sort of put on from a template, but I just don't love. I just don't love how these things look, and I'm now in that phase where, as I'm struggling with this, each thing I try looks worse and worse to me, and I'm getting less and less happy with anything I create. And each time I try something, instead of being like, well, that's better, I'm just like, no, this one also doesn't work, and I'm really struggling. And so I had to remind myself, and by had to, I mean I'm having to right now at this moment while recording this video, of that graph, that creative's graph, that little up and down. Do I have a pen on my desk to draw it? No, I don't. Let's open up Pixelmator. So if you've never seen the graph before, even heard me talk about it, I got it from Steal Like an Artist, which I feel like is a fine place to steal stuff. But the graph looks like this. It's this sort of reverse check mark like this. And we've got a y-axis and an x-axis. And this y-axis is greatness, and this x-axis is time. And so when you first start out with the project, you have this idea, you're thinking like, oh, hey, this is going to be pretty good. This is it's cool. I get to mess with text. I get to try something, get to make it this flashy edit sequence. It's going to be fun. It's going to be neat. It's going to be something I can use to get more business like this. Then a little bit of time passes, and the greatness declines a little bit, and you start to think, man, this is tough. I like have the footage together. The song's not quite right. I don't know if they're going to like it. And it's just clunkier. It looks like clip art. It doesn't look like this cool motion graphic sequence I was hoping for. Then a little bit more time passes, and you get to this spot here where you're like, man, this is the client is going to hate this. It doesn't look like anything I've done for them in the past. They're not going to be happy with it. It's just not a good video, but I'm close, I think. And then we progress just a little bit further to the bottom of this V. And the bottom of this V, in Steal Like an Artist, Austin Kleon calls it the dark night of the soul. And this is the point in the project where it just is as bad as it can be. I'm looking at this. I hate everything that I'm trying. I don't think this video is going to work. I'm frustrated with myself. It's not a happy place to be. And what's misleading about this graph, which I've noticed in the past, is it has this finite point at the bottom. By the way, this end of the graph doesn't actually go that high, as I recall this. We'll put it right about there. That seems more realistic. But the thing about this graph, we've got this point at the bottom, and it's a point, which means that when you hit that point, you start going the other way. And the concept here is that, let me explain. You move a little further up, a little more time passes, and you find yourself in this spot of like, oh, hey, this is starting to work. This is starting to look good. I think some of this will work. It's not going to be as good as I thought it was, but it's starting to move a little bit. And then you work a little harder on the project. You get a little further, and you get to this point of like, hey, this isn't so bad. This actually could come together a little bit. It was dark before, but I think I'm getting this. We've got some momentum now. And then in most cases, you end up at this point in the project, which is not as high as the idea was when you started, but much higher than it was. The greatness is much higher than you thought it would be here at the bottom. And this is the way most projects go. And you think, hey, it's not as good as I thought it would be, but it finished. It looked pretty good. I'm happy with it. I tinkered with it. It took some time, but we got there. And so I've loved this graph because put this against anything, not just video projects, but I'm sure graphic design, writing, corporate projects, whatever you do probably follows something very similar to this. What I find misleading is this point at the bottom seems to be like, it comes down, you hit this dark point, and then it starts heading back up. And what I am finding with this particular project is, let me switch colors. This is the graph. I'm going to change to Boom Pink for my reality. Instead, we start, oh, wow, this is going to be great. Well, it's a little harder than I thought. Oh, things aren't going well at all. Oh my God, this is awful. It'll never be good. But instead of coming back up, I feel like I stay here for a long, long time a long, long time, and then things come back up. And so I've gotten comfort from this graph in the past, knowing like, hey, this is going to be bad. And a few nights ago, I was working on this, and I told Jesse that I'm like, this video is awful. I'm not going to be able to do this. I'm just not equipped for this. And she was like, what are you going to do? I'm like, well, I'm going to work on it, but I wanted to tell you how I feel right now so that in a week, when I show you how much this video is awesome and I love it, you can understand where I was before on the same exact video to where I am now. And so knowing that this change has occurred on every other project I've ever worked on, and I guess the amount of greatness that goes up at the end changes from project to project. Sometimes it gets a lot bigger, sometimes it's only so. But this is the first one that I feel like I'm really just sitting down in this trench, not being able to figure out how I'm going to get that graph to start ticking the other way. So I'm having such a hard, frustrating time right now that I decided to stop working on the video and make this vlog-style complainer video instead. And it's not really a complaint. I love my job, and these problems are the fun things. And when I get out of this rut and things start to go up again, I know that I'm going to come out of it with some experience on how to edit videos like this, what works, what doesn't, what wastes time, what actually resonates with the client, etc. I'm going to learn a lot from this, but learning sometimes is a little difficult. So thanks for watching. Thanks for enjoying this trench with me, this trench of greatness with me before I figure out this video. If you do stuff like this and you experience the same sort of tribulations, I'd love to know about it. Throw it in the comments, because the comments have been fun lately. This is my only social media, so the only way that I connect with people is through the comments. So to those of you leaving lovely comments, thank you very much. It means a lot to me. And for those of you leaving mean comments, I just delete them, so doesn't matter. See you later, bye.